And they send a message to the Islamic Republic that we don't want you anymore. We don't want you reformed. We don't want you modified. We don't want you. Period. We don't trust you. They tell me, Bijan, what's wrong with you? Why can't you say, long live the king? I say, because he doesn't want me to, and I follow him. At this point in my life, all I want is freedom for Iran and Iranians. And I know we're not going to get there without having a single compass. That single compass cannot be anybody other than Prince Reza Pahlavi.
Well, hi there. This is episode 408 of Roqe, Iran Rises. Don't look away from Iran. Don't look away from the horrors of this Islamic Republic regime. Not now, not after the massacre of the last 2 weeks, because the coming days are going to get very hard. As cracks emerge, images of atrocities will appear. Many will be tempted to look away, not out of cruelty, out of fear. Don't. This regime understands something very well, that violence alone is not enough. Silence is the second weapon. Fatigue is the third. They count on the world being overwhelmed. They count on us being exhausted. They count on the horror being too much to share, too uncomfortable to confront. Don't look away from the horrors of this Islamic Republic regime. Not now, not after the massacre of the last 2 weeks. History shows us this pattern again and again. Atrocities don't disappear because they're hidden. They endure because they are ignored. And ignorance is rarely accidental. It's often carefully manufactured. What's unfolding in Iran right now is not chaos. It's not instability. It's a state systematically massacring its own civilians to remain in power. It is fear deployed as a method of governance. And when the cameras are cut, the goal is simple: act without witnesses. That's why this moment matters. And the only way the regime will end is if we give people a chance to defend. This is not just a message to the mainstream media and the world about what to do. This is a message to fellow Iranians too. For Iranians in the diaspora, the instinct to protect ourselves emotionally is understandable. To scroll past, to mute, to look away just long enough to keep functioning. But looking away may not be neutrality. It is participation by absence. Maybe this is not the time for emotional self-defense. This is the time for moral clarity. And for the wider world, distracted, uninformed, flooded with competing crises, and too often guided by soft-pedal narratives and disinformation, a steady diet of Nyack sanitization, understand this clearly. What is happening in Iran is not abstract. It's not ancient history. It's not complicated by culture or context. It is civilians being killed for demanding dignity. Don't look away from Iran. Don't look away from the horrors of this Islamic Republic regime. Not now. If the images coming out of Iran make you uncomfortable, good. They should. Discomfort is not harm. Silence is, because attention is power. Witness is resistance. And history does not ask whether we were comfortable. It asks whether we were paying attention somehow. And the people inside Iran need our attention. Now. It's January 19, 2026. This is Roqe. Hi there, welcome to episode 408 of Roqe. I'm Jian Ghomeshi. Hello to you from Toronto, hello to you from Canada. Salam Dustan Aziz. Durud bar shoma, hope you are doing well wherever you are tuning in from around the world. Today is the fifth of our series, Iran Rises, and as you may know, events are moving extremely rapidly inside Iran and across the diaspora. We are recording this around 5:30 Eastern Time here in Toronto on Monday, January 19th, so well after midnight in Iran, and we're trying to share perspectives and conversations as up to date as we can, but of course, the moment that we record this is the moment we record it. So if you're watching it and we're out of date, that's the way it is. With the backdrop of massacre and arrests and bloodshed in Iran, the feeble start of some mainstream media coverage, a major press conference by the most prominent opposition figure in the Iranian world, Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, the massive rallies of solidarity by Iranians in the diaspora around the world, including over 100,000 here in Toronto, tens of thousands in Vancouver, LA, Montreal, London, England, and beyond, as well as awaiting word from the President of the United States on any plan for help, and awaiting word from those family and friends inside Iran as cracks appear in the internet crackdown and images and videos of the horrors of the last week or two become public. I'm joined today by one of the most sought-after observers of this moment on the current situation. Bijan Kian is joining us for the full episode. Let's get to it. Today's episode of Roqe is brought to you in part by Stellar Law. Stellar Law is a boutique litigation firm in Toronto led by its founder and principal lawyer, Rana Nosrat Panoah. The firm operates on a simple premise: complex disputes demand disciplined thinking and meticulous preparation. Representing both individuals and businesses, the team handles commercial conflicts, criminal matters, and sensitive personal or financial disputes with a measured, analytical approach. Clients turn to Stellar Law for clear strategy, direct guidance, and advocacy that is practical as well as exacting. Rana and her team are known for distilling intricate issues into decisive action, navigating high-stakes matters with discretion, focus, and unwavering professionalism. For clients seeking representation grounded in judgment, rigor, and strategic clarity, Stellar Law offers something increasingly rare: a litigation practice built on preparation, trust, and results. Check out Stellar Law at stellarlaw.ca. Thanks again to Rana Nosrat and her team. You can contact them in Persian or in English. Stellar Law. All right, let me get to our featured guest for this edition of Roqe. He is an experienced Iranian-American global business leader and a former U.S. senior official with over 30 years of experience across public, private, and nonprofit sectors. Twice confirmed by the U.S. Senate, he served in senior roles under the 43rd, 44th, and 45th presidents, and chaired the audit committee for a U.S. government agency. He also held key economic roles in California, including Director of Foreign Investment and Economic Development Commissioner. He obtained his education from Brighton, Harvard, Oxford, MIT. He has lectured at top institutions such as National Defense University, George Washington University, Georgetown, American University, and UBC, just to name a few. Joining me from the Orange County area, hello, Bijan Kian.
Hello, Jian. Good to be with you. I wish we were together at a better time. These are terrible times. Terrible times. Nothing is heartwarming. Everything is heart-wrenching. And but good to be with you. Care.
One thing we have is solidarity with each other. Whether there was 100,000 people rallying here in Toronto on the weekend, and I was also down in D.C. at a rally there. And when you're around other Iranians, you feel like things are not as bad because you feel that sense of camaraderie. But of course, it's a pretty dark chapter right now. Can you tell me where you're at this moment? I mean, this changes every day, so you'll be forgiven if you have a different feeling 12 hours from now. But as of this moment, what are you thinking and feeling?
As of this moment, what I'm doing is I'm praying for the people of Iran who were not doing anything for many, many years. They're waiting to hear a trustworthy call to action. That trustworthy call to action came from Prince Reza Pahlavi because he's the most trusted personality inside and outside Iran. And the message that he wanted to spread was, listen, as long as you're together, you have the biggest weapon that you need. When you don't stand together, they'll hit you one by one. And that message was heard loud and clear. That message was heard by the oppressors who heard it and cared, many of them. And of course, it was heard by the freedom-seeking people of Iran who came out in millions, Jian, millions. This is not made-up statistics. The whole world saw that. And they send a message to the Islamic Republic that we don't want you anymore. We don't want you reformed. We don't want you modified. We don't want you. Period. We don't trust you. And then sending a message to the world that says, look at us. Lafayette, Kosciuszko, Rochambeau, they came and helped you to become America, not for the sake of occupying America, for the sake of helping people to stand up to the tyranny of George III. And they're saying, "Come help us." But some people say, "Oh no, we could do this on our own. We should not ask for any foreign help whatsoever." I disagree. I disagree. I think if you see an abusive parent beating up on a baby, what do? You just move on. You look the other way. You say, "That's not my business." That's not acceptable. I don't believe the world is doing that exactly, but I do believe there are problems. You see, the world doesn't understand our culture.
No.
The world wants to judge us by their own standards.
Or to put our cause in a box that doesn't always
Yeah,
fit their narrative.
it doesn't matter. All day long, we can tell them, "Look, our culture is different. Our people are different. They act differently. They think differently. And the definitions are different." They have chosen their leader. Every movement needs a compass, a leader, standard bearer. They've chosen that person. And the West is saying, "Well, I don't see anybody in the arena. I don't see any. Are you running a liberation campaign or are you running a candidate?" Which is, in a way, maybe the right question at the wrong time.
Do you feel like this? I mean, look, anyone who's been observing the situation in the Islamic Republic over the last 4.5 decades, if not even just in the recent years, knows the level, the scale of atrocities of this regime. But even by the regime standards, these massacres are unprecedented, are epic. Do you do you,
People are asking good questions, Jian. They're saying, "Look, they turned off the lights. They're killing people.
Right,
What do you
but
do?"
but do you? But where I was going to go is, does this suggest that the regime has crossed a point of no return? I mean
Said that long time ago. The regime has gone beyond the point of recovery. There's no way.
yeah.
There's no way that the regime can come back to anything.
But even they know that. I feel
They
like
know that. Of
yeah.
course, they know that. Listen, Gian, I have a news on good authority that a certain individual who holds a very, very important position in the office of the governor, the regional governor in the southern parts of Iran, left the meeting. She's the one who has the power to give the orders to the repressive regime killers to shoot people. There is a committee. There is a committee that's called the Security Committee. And the Security Committee has a structure. This woman, I can even tell you her name. This woman is the one who orders killings. She has all the power. And she left the meeting, said, "Can I have a cup of tea?" Sat down and said, "It's over." Said, "It's over." And this is part of the system. Part of the system. Everywhere you go, you see this defeat from inside. But the problem is, until the free world does not feel they can get involved, this story can go on forever. They
Does
can
not
keep on
feel
killing people.
does not feel they can get involved. What do you mean by that? I mean, how are you
They
seeing?
want to see a campaign for liberation to get involved, and they're committed to that. And I think the prince has done everything he possibly can
How do you
to make
explain
that
the West's?
distinction.
How do you explain the West's inaction so far?
The West is not in action, Gian. I think it's the disparity of expectations.
Okay.
It's a disparity of expectations.
But you said
Exactly.
yourself in the beginning you're distraught by the fact that people are not coming to help. So
The reason they're not the reason they're not doing everything they can to
mm,
expedite this is because they're hesitant. The prince, I was trying to explain, has done everything he can. He couldn't do anything more. He said, "Look, I am not seeking power. I am after a liberation campaign against occupiers." How can he say it even clearer than that? You're a journalist. You tell me, how can he say it clearer than that?
mm.
"I am not seeking a position of power. I am only acting as the compass which is needed. How could you have people moving in the same direction if they have the various compasses calibrated to show a different north? You can't do that. You have to have one compass. He is the compass. And he's right to place himself there, not because he wants to be dealing with this complex issue at this time, not because he's seeking power. It's because he feels a responsibility to do that. He's done it. But unfortunately, there are others who don't agree. Don't agree. They consistently go against what he says. So what do you do with that? How can he have the power to shut him down? What does he say to them? Let's say you, Jian Ghomeshi, respected figure in media, you want to say, long live the king, King Reza Pahlavi. Who's going to shut you down? With what power? That's where His Royal Highness Prince Reza Pahlavi is today. That's where he is. He's done everything he can. But others are having a different idea. So,
Well, others are also there's others also peddling disinformation. One of the things I said in a video I did 2 or 3 days ago was
absolutely. TV
Iranians
stations
are
are
facing
distorting.
Iranians are facing a war on two fronts. One is against the regime. The other is disinformation. That's not new, but at the level of disinformation coming from certain Iranians too in the diaspora, or who have vested interests in, one would think, keeping the regime in power, and just trafficking and peddling this stuff that, and you combine that with and related to the lack of media attention. Just a quick anecdote. I was at the gym today, and there's a fellow there, a friend of mine, who he served in the Canadian military. Very informed guy, tends to read the news, all of that stuff. And he said he wanted to talk to me about Iran, and he said, I heard about 400, 500 people have died. I said, are you kidding? It's in the thousands, it's in the tens
Doctors
of
are
thousands.
reporting
And
16,000.
he had no
500.
idea. He had no idea, Bijan. He had no idea. And this is a guy who was watching the news, and was in the
You know why
military.
the media is not involved? You know why the media is so disturbingly quiet? My take, they think this is running a candidate, not a liberation campaign. They're being convinced of that. And there's a lot of money poured into this. And there was the Islamic Republic for years. Did you listen to the Islamic Republic representative who speaks a very strange language? I have no idea. I think he's
Yes.
trying to speak English.
Yes.
But did you watch that?
Yeah,
Did you
yeah,
see the
yeah.
nonsense that's coming out?
Yeah.
And of course they have the money, they're spending the money, and they're convincing people that, look, this is not about a liberation campaign. They're a bunch of terrorists. And you know what? It's interesting you asked me in this program. We're all targets. You're a target. I'm a target. I'm not that important. But I can tell you Islamic Republic is determined to create a scandalous campaign to hit me physically or on the airwaves. They would say anything they want.
Yeah.
And they have no limit. Anybody. They have the money. They have the money. They have the control. And you know what? There are also media that makes me so mad. There's media that is willingly and actively distorting the messaging.
Well, and
You
it's partly. I mean, you're sitting there in California. There's a lot of people in your country, and a lot of them are in the media who don't like Donald Trump, for example, and can't quite put it together. It's signal failure that if Iranians might have an affection for or like the United States or Israel or Donald Trump, that must mean that they're fighting for a cause that we don't agree with because we're anti-Trump. And this is so far beyond that it's quite deflating to see people just running into those boxes,
But people of Iran are determined. They have their own message. They're very successfully. They're fighting. They're giving their lives, Shion. They're giving their lives. And many of them, as they face the bullets hitting their hearts, they shout one person's name because they trust him. Why is the world having such a trouble understanding that basic concept? Oh, because though they call him King Reza Pahlavi, we're not going to get behind a candidate. And people are really trying hard to get them understand. Listen to him. Listen to Prince Reza Pahlavi. Who are you listening to?
Do you, do you,
Why
do you, do you,
repeating the nonsense narrative of Islamic Republic and also those hopefuls who keep saying, I'm here, I'm here, I'm a leader, I'm a leader. Well, you're a leader, show me your supporters. Don't argue with me.
I do feel like
Support.
I do feel like a corner has been turned, though. I mean, you must, as a longtime Pahlavi supporter, find it interesting, or maybe take solace, or take some I don't know, joy
Jihad, the
in
reason I
seeing.
am
Let me
supporting.
finish. Let me finish. In seeing Abbas Milani, for example, write an editorial endorsing Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. I mean, that must be interesting for you.
I'm always impressed with people who put their priority as Iran and freedom, not ideology, not my party, not what I like, not who I like. There is one fact today. There is no one inside or outside of Iran more trusted by the Iranians than Prince Reza Pahlavi. That's a fact. I hope this program is watched by people in the United States who are making these decisions. There is no one who people would be mobilized with, galvanized with, move towards a common target, but him. No one. No one. Not Jian Ghomeshi, not Bijan Kian, nobody. Just him.
I,
And that's a fact.
we,
That's
we
a fact.
we mentioned President Trump earlier. I don't personally know anyone who I think would be closer in the circles of President Trump than you. So, I mean, everyone I know is sort of trying to guess between he says one thing, he says another thing, and trying to figure out what's happening. I
Don't
mean, what
say that because people will accuse you of knowing and being close to unimportant people like me. There are many who are very close to the President Trump, and I will not deny that I worked for him and I did have some responsibility. I do know him a little bit, and I can tell you he has this big issue. I'm not speaking on his behalf, but I'm telling you, you want to get to a critical question today, and you're talking about the free world. Forget about Trump. Everybody. You have to answer this question clearly, with no doubt. And I don't know how else to answer it better than the way Prince Reza Pahlavi has answered it. This is a campaign for liberation against occupation. What else I can
But
say? What
but
else I
but
can say?
you I'm not going to let you off that easy, because you know the aspirations of Iranians around the world and inside Iran were lifted, were tied to seeing those tweets. That second one that said, "Stay in the streets, go out there, help is on the way." Are you expecting still that President
I
Trump
am
will?
expecting people to be reasonable and place the responsibility of this atrocity squarely where it belongs. To say, hey, Mr. Trump, you said we're going to come to your help and didn't. I understand those emotions. Understand those emotions. That's why, Jian, I've been repeatedly, please look at my Farsi broadcast, repeatedly said this is a revolution that belongs to the Iranian people.
Mm.
No one has any business taking credit for it. However, just like Lafayette and Rochambeau and Kosciuszko helped the Americans 250 years ago to be America, people of Iran welcome that. But then there is messaging that gets really complicated and it gets really hazy and it gets really to a point where it gets opportunity to repeat the narrative of Islamic Republic. You've seen them, the prince says help is welcome. The headline reads, the prince said no help is necessary.
Right.
And people can do this on themselves, distorting, taking it out of context, cutting it, taking one sentence out of a long speech. You know how that is done, Xian. That's what's happening. I think I see smart people doing stupid things. I have no enough intelligence to figure that out. When smart people say stupid things, I cannot dismiss the viciousness and their intent. Dumb people say stupid things, that's normal. Smart people say stupid things, It's not acceptable. They have an axe to the grind. They have an axe to the grind.
I know you've got a lot of demands on your time. Before I let you go, before you came on today, we had a little chance to talk. I've known you for many years.
I hope your viewers see the bitter smile on my face. It's not a smile.
Well, that's actually what I want to ask you about. You know, when we talked just before we start recording, you know, one of the things that you and I haven't always agreed, but one of the things over the years that I've really looked forward to in speaking to you is that you're always very strong and resolute, and quite frankly, you're usually quite positive in the outlook that you see. And talking to you today, and just hearing the sadness in your voice at what's taken place inside Iran. Talk to me about that, and talk to me about whether you can still summon up the energy.
The matter is, a lot of people are dead. A lot of people are in jails. I cannot celebrate any victory. It doesn't matter. But I can tell you one thing. The result that you know in people, not me. I'm one of thousands, Jian. I'm not important. The result that you see in some people's faces, it's going to be there until all the way to the end. All the way to the end. But that doesn't mean we're not mourning. We're mourning the death of our people, our sisters, our mothers, our fathers, our brothers, our sons, our daughters. How could we be not like this? No human being can play games and act. Certainly, I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. I am sad. We've lost people. That's the most important thing that I think about right now, loss of life. And I celebrate the attitude of the people. Look, they're taking their lives, the palm of their hands. You know, I'm sure you saw that. You saw the 18, 19-year-old that grabs the barrel of the gun and puts it to his chest and says, shoot me. It takes a lot to do that. That's courage. I celebrate that courage. And I feel ashamed that I can't do anything about it other than repeating it, other than reflecting their voices, doing what I can. Some people say to me, Jian, what's in it for you? Come on, Bijan. Nobody does anything for nothing. What's in it for you? I said, I'm not sure if you understand when I explain what's in it for me. But do you know the pleasure of the reward when you see the doors of the prisons opened and people, innocent people, who are imprisoned for no reason, are freed? Do you understand the value of that moment? If you don't, then don't ask me this question, because you will not relate to me. But that's what's in it for me. Nobody pays me. Nobody gives me an incentive. I'm not seeking anything. At this point in my life, all I want is freedom for Iran and Iranians. And I know we're not going to get there without having a single compass. That single compass cannot be anybody other than Prince Reza Pahlavi. I believe that. And he wants to do this collectively with everyone. So that's what I've been doing, encouraging everyone to get behind the compass, to get behind the common insignia of our identity, the flag, lion and sun. That's what connects you and I together.
You know, I've heard people saying on all sides for years, I'll support what the Iranian people inside Iran choose. Well, the Iranian people inside Iran have chosen. I mean, in as much as there's no other name that has been chanted.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem. They have chosen Prince Reza Pahlavi to lead them to the ballot box. Don't forget that.
Yes, yes, as a transition. Yes,
but if you say they've chosen him to be the next form of government, I buy that. The world doesn't.
Well, what I say is, for anyone who's complaining about those who are coming out saying Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi should lead a transition, including, by the way, Iranian tech leaders from the Iranian-Americans and from around the world, our sort of Silicon Valley has come and said we all endorse Prince Reza Pahlavi as a transition figure. Anyone who's complaining about that, I sort of said, well, name another person whose name has been chanted. I mean, in the absence of that, we should gather, and he says, as you've said, he said, I'm willing to lead a transition and get us to some kind of vote where the Iranian people can choose. I don't know why that's so contentious at this stage, but I agree with you that should be the way.
Look, in America, Jian, and I really, really have to, unfortunately,
Go.
stop doing what I like to do and go do what I have to do. But let me just say this. Our nomenclature is different. Our culture is different. You know how the West looks at things? They look at it this way. They look at a candidate and said, you have to control your constituency. Your supporters have to be controlled. You know, that's the way things work here. That's the way things work. Your supporters have to follow you. I think it's not the prince who should be pressured to change his ways. It's the prince's supporters who have to understand, in order for him to succeed, there's a need for plurality, not singularity. Singularity is required tactically because we need to go to the same place. He will provide the compass, and if you're having trouble reading the compass, just keep your eyes on the flag. Just follow him. He will take you to the ballot box. So when you're doing that, remember, you're either following him or you're not following him. If he calls himself, I am a standard bearer for change, stick to it. If you call him the king, you're not following him. That's the message that I have. That's why they tell me, Bijan, what's wrong with you? Why can't you say, long live the king? I say, because he doesn't want me to, and I follow him. I've already declared it. Seriously, I follow him. How could you say I'm following somebody, but I differ in my views with him? How could you do that? It's like, I'm following your compass, but I have my own compass, and I'm going to go this way. So what is this? What kind of a support is that? A supporter wants to go another way. Doesn't make sense. Or at least it doesn't make sense to me. All supporters of freedom who put Iran as their priority must follow the prince. He is the standard bearer for change. Those who want to have a fait accompli, no, we're done. We need our king. Forget it. We don't believe in the ballot box. They're going against him.
110,000 people in the snow marched here on the weekend in solidarity, carrying the Shida Khorshid. Let that fill your blood with some pride, right? That feels like something for us to celebrate. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for being here longer than you had to.
I can't stay longer with you, but seriously, I say it like it is, and today others should realize that a lot of people lost lives. That's important. We can't close our eyes to that. That's a reality.
Thank you. Yeah.
And we all mourn that, but we are believing in the victory of people because you and I believe light always victorious over darkness. Always.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for being with you.
Hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Big thanks to Bijan Kian for being part of this show today. He, like many observers of what's going on in Iran right now, is being sort of pulled in different directions to do press hits and be asked advice. And he's dealing with his own emotional fallout, as we all are, with the news and the images coming out of Iran, and the hope that somehow, if not help is on the way, that the Iranian people will remain resilient as they have. You can comment on anything you've heard on this program and keep the feedback coming on any of our platforms. Of course, you can post there, or you can email us at info@roqemedia.com, info@roqemedia.com. We'll be back on Thursday for another edition of this Iran Rises series. In the meantime, this is full time for Roqe for today. Thank you to the amazing team, the regular team, the daily team who are here for shows that we do. Super P, Parisa, Savvy Roham, and Tina, the photo and video queen. Thank you guys. And of course, to the broader Roqe team, talented Anahita, charming Kimia, smart Pega, methodical Kave, and the rising Kian. Thank you to all of you. Thank you guys for watching us and listening to us and sharing our content. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already on any or all of our platforms. You can get the bilingual version of Roqe and the information in English and in Persian on Telegram. You can find us on Instagram at Roqe Media. You can find me on Instagram at Jian Ghomeshi. Our show on YouTube at Roqe Media. And as ever, heed those words. Mizun Bashi.